so excited because we're gonna do unit conversions. And this is actually really fun because there's a language connection here that I've been so excited to share with you, Mac Marbles. We're gonna look at converting metric units. So we're gonna use the metric system, which is a system of measuring units that is accepted widely around the world in many countries except the US. So for example, I went to DR, and in DR they measure distance. Well, they use kilometers. So in the United States, when we drive around, they'll tell you on the GPS, you are 5 miles away. And when you go to other countries, they will tell you in kilometers how far away you are. Or if you buy gasoline, when I went to Puerto Rico, you didn't use gallons, you actually use kiloliters. So use liters, not kiloliters, that's a lot, but use liters of gasoline to fill out your car, not gallons of gasoline. So that is something when I travel to other countries, especially Spanish countries in the Caribbean, we use the metric system. So I love this unit. So what I will tell you with the metric system, and here are the ones that we're going to look at. When we're talking about length, we use meters, like a meter stick, which is probably in your classroom. It's about the same size as a yardstick. When we measure in the science lab, we use grams, and a lot of the measuring for ingredients, you'll see them on the back of packages, are in grams. And when we measure liquids, we use liters. So these are the bases. This is the base. You're going to hear these 3 words. I'm going to use my Spanish for these. So we use deci, which reminds me of die, which is number 10 in Spanish. Or you can think of the word December, the month December. And why December? Because it used to be a 10-month calendar. It used to only be 10 months. So December 10, 10, that's how I think of a decimeter. We're going to think of the number 10. And a decimeter or decigram or deciliter means it takes 10 to make 1. There are 10 of these to make 1 of these. Next, you have the centimeter. Next prefix, centi, which reminds me in Spanish, cien, which means 100. Or if you think of money, a cent. A cent is 1/100th of a dollar. So 100 to make 1. So a centimeter, you need 100 to make 1 meter. And then the last one, milli, or in Spanish, mil, which is 1,000. So you've probably seen like a millipede where it looks like it has 1,000 legs. So mil just means 1,000. So 1,000 in 1. So we're going to use this to do some conversions, and those are smaller ones. All of these here, decimeter, deci, centi, milli, those are smaller than the base unit. Then you have bigger ones on the other end. And what you're also going to notice is there's like a 10 system. It's like those base 10 pieces you have. So if this is the ones place, like I'm going to use 1 meter. A decimeter is a 10th. It's a 10th the size. A centimeter is 100th of a side. And a millimeter is 1,000th the size. That's how tiny they are. Now in the other direction, we have deca. The decameter is 10 times. So there are 10 meters in a decameter. A hectometer is 100. So there are 100 meters in a hectometer. And a kilometer, or kilometer, however you want to say it, it's 1,000. So it's 1,000 then. So this is the way our system goes, and it all goes by the numbers by a base 10 system. So starting with your base, and you get the ones that are bigger, and they go by a magnitude of 10 times bigger, 100 times bigger, or 1,000 times bigger. Or if you go to the right, the smaller ones, which we'll use a lot, are 10 times smaller in magnitude, a 10th, 100th, and 1,000. So we're going to use this in our first example today. So before we go into our first example for today, I just want to do some quick thinking around this, and just so that we can get the idea of going from one unit to another. And again, thinking of grams to milligrams. Think about what you know. When I hear mil, I'm thinking 1,000. So there are 1,000 of these in 1 gram. So just think about what you know. If there are 1,001 gram, if I have 5 grams, how many milligrams do you think you have? You'd have 5,000. So these are just quick ones. So here I have grams and milligrams again. 1000, 1,000, and 1 gram. So that one's easy. All right, let's try liters, and these are all, do you read these? Yeah, these are all the same, milliliters. So again, here's 1,000 and 1 liter. And with liters, the L is big like that. And just 1 liter. So if I have 2 liters, and I have 2,000 milliliters. And here I have grams again, and milligrams. So if I have 1 gram, I know it's 1,000 milligrams. So if I have 54 grams, well, I'd have 54,000 milligrams. And that's kind of the thinking you're going to be doing. You're going to look for that unit to figure out this rate. And again, the ones that are easy would be the centi, that's 100. The decimeter, that's just 10. And then the milli, like the millimeter, is just 1,000. So we're going to use those as we go through these problems. All right, here's our first problem. It's pretty simple. Convert 7,225 centimeters to meters. That's it. So that's all we're going to do. It just means how many meters are in 7,225 centimeters. Quick and easy. Okay, so here are facts. We know that cent, like I'm thinking of, as long as I see the word centi, I'm automatically thinking of 100. That's the first thing. So I know I have 100 centimeters in 1 meter. 1 meter, 100 centimeters. And I could do it the other way around. 100th of a meter is equal to 1 centimeter. So I could use these two ratios to work on this for today. And so here's our steps. We're going to use the reference guide, the one that we saw on the other page, for the unit conversions. We're going to use math to organize the information. It's going to help us. And we're going to cross multiply to set up those equations for the conversion, and then use our algebra to calculate for the unknown in the situation. So hit pause so you can jot this down, and we're going to jump into our plan. All right, so I've already set up our boxes for our plan. We have centimeters and meters, and we have our two facts. So 1 meter is 100 centimeters, or 100th of a meter is equal to 1 centimeters. So I'm going to plug this one in. I'm actually going to use, let's see, which one do I want? I have 7,225. So help me make a decision here, Math Marvels. So we're going to figure out how many meters here. Would you rather, when we're multiplying, if we know we're going to multiply these two numbers, would you rather multiply with 1 or multiply with 100th? So that's the first would you rather. What do you think? 1 or 100th? That's your question. In this case, I'd probably want to multiply with 1. That's just me. And here's 100 centimeters. Now, why? Why? Because a lot of kids find multiplying with fractions difficult, and that's okay. It can be a little challenging, but don't shy away from it all the time. So now let's just multiply it out and see what we have. Either one would have been fine. They're both true ratios. So whatever was the most friendly for you, the most comfortable for you. So I chose this one. So we're going to cross multiply, and we know we're going to get 7,225. And on the other side, we're going to get 100 times a number. So let's write out our equation. 7,225 is equal to 100 times a number. Let's rewrite that to division. 7,225 divided by 100 is equal to that number. Okay, so there you go. This is where, depending on where you were in 4th grade math, you can either do this in mental math or you can actually use the division. I'm going to use the division first, and I will also show you with mental math. So here I'm going to put, because my divisor is 100. it cannot, 100 cannot go into 7, cannot go into 72, but it does go into this number here. So that's 700. And I'm going to bring down the 5. 100 can go into 225 2 times. So that's 200. I get 25. I need to keep going, so I'm going to have to add a decimal. Remember, put a decimal in both your inside the house and up top in your quotient. Let's put this here. So it's in my dividend, it's in my quotient, and I have another 0 now. I can put another 2. I'm going to add another 0, and I have 500. So I converted, and I get 72 and 25 hundredths. So there's one way to do it. Now, another way I can do it, I told you I can show you another way. Anytime I divide, so I'm thinking magnitude with a base 10 system. I'm going to put this decimal here. When I divide by 10, I move the decimal 1 time. When I divide by 100, I move it 2 times, because every decimal shift is a magnitude of dividing it by 10. So that's when I'm moving my decimal in this direction. If I moved it in the other direction, it will get 10 times bigger. But when I move it to the left, it will get 10 times smaller. So that is just another way. And I know that's usually done in 4th or 5th grade. So if you were not sure about that method, it's okay. You can just use your division. The point is not to make math into tricks. That's not what we want. We want to make sure you're using math that makes sense to you. But anywho, we've figured this out. We have our conversion. We have, when we do a conversion, 7,225 centimeters is equal to 72 and 25 hundredths meters. And how I would check that, I would just go back over my work and just make sure that was true. So if you ever wanted to, you can go back into this original statement and you can just put in, so is 100 times 7225 equal to 7,225, and you will find that it is. Because again, I'm looking at my decimal, so I move it 1 time is times 10, and if I move it another time after that, it's times 100. So yes, it would give you that number. So that's what you're going to do today, Math Marvels. You're going to look at that chart that was in the beginning, and you're going to use that to convert metric units. Use the chart to help you. Make sure that you have your labels written down, and that you're using that first ratio, that conversion rate, as your first one, and then this is the one that you're going to try and figure out. So that's it for today, Math Marvels. I hope you found this useful. And to my Spanish students, adios, and I will see you next time. Take care.